The crowd at Harbour Town was not just loud. They were relentless. From the moment Matt Fitzpatrick stepped onto the 18th tee, the chants started. USA. USA. Over and over again, hundreds of voices screaming for the Englishman to fail. They wanted Scottie Scheffler to win. They wanted the world number one to complete his comeback. And when Fitzpatrick's chip shot came up short, when he missed the putt that would have sealed the victory, the crowd erupted. They thought they had won. They thought the American hero would triumph in the playoff. But Matt Fitzpatrick had other plans. On the first extra hole, with the pressure at its absolute peak, he did something extraordinary. He pulled out his 4-iron from 204 yards. The wind was blowing. The crowd was screaming. And he hit the shot of his life. The ball tracked toward the flag, landed softly, and stopped 13 feet from the hole. Then came the putt. The stadium fell silent as the ball rolled toward the cup, and when it dropped, Matt Fitzpatrick did not scream. He did not pump his fist. He did not say a single word. Instead, he raised his finger to his ear. He cupped it. He listened. And in that one silent gesture, he said everything that needed to be said. The crowd that had been screaming for his defeat had nothing left. The American fans who had chanted against him were silenced. And the world number one, Scottie Scheffler, could only watch. This is Golfio, and this is the story of what Matt Fitzpatrick did without saying a word. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The stage was set for a classic. Harbour Town Golf Links, with its iconic red and white striped lighthouse behind the 18th green, has hosted some of the most dramatic moments in golf history. But nothing could have prepared the fans for what they were about to witness on that Sunday afternoon in April 2026. Matt Fitzpatrick, the 31-year-old Englishman from Sheffield, stood on the 15th tee with a 3-shot lead over the world. Number one, Scottie Scheffler. The tournament was his to lose. He had played brilliant golf all week. His putting had been flawless, his iron play had been surgical, and he was just 4 holes away from his second RBC Heritage title, his 4th PGA Tour victory, and a $3.6 million payday. But golf has a way of humbling even the best players in the world. And Scottie Scheffler is not the kind of player who gives up. The Texan had been here before. Just 1 week earlier, he had finished second to Rory McIlroy at the Masters. He had been chasing all weekend, clawing his way back from deficits, proving why he is the most dangerous player on the planet. Now, he was doing it again. On the 15th hole, Scheffler rolled in a birdie. The lead was down to 2. On the 16th, another birdie. The lead was down to 1. The crowd, which had been politely supportive all day, began to sense something special. They started to get loud. They started to believe that their American hero could pull off the impossible. And then came the 18th hole. Matt Fitzpatrick stepped onto the tee with a 1-shot lead. His drive found the fairway. But then things went wrong. His approach shot missed the green, landing in the sand to the right of the fairway. He faced a delicate chip shot, the kind that can make or break a championship. He hurried his swing. The ball came up well short of the hole, leaving him a 20-foot putt just to save par. The crowd, sensing blood, began to chant, USA, USA. The noise was deafening. Fitzpatrick stepped up to the putt. He took a deep breath. He pulled the putter back. And he missed. The ball slid past the hole on the low side. Scottie Scheffler, who had already made his par, raised his eyebrows at his caddy. The playoff was on. For the 4th time in 5 years, the RBC Heritage would be decided in sudden death. And for Matt Fitzpatrick, the nightmare was just beginning. The IBDM playoff format at Harbour Town is simple. Sudden death on the 18th hole. 1 hole. 1 chance. Win or go home. And the crowd knew exactly what to do. As Fitzpatrick and Scheffler walked back to the 18th tee, the chants started again. Louder this time. More intense. USA. USA. Hundreds of voices, all screaming for the Englishman to fail. It was the kind of atmosphere that breaks lesser players, the kind of pressure that makes grown men crumble. But Matt Fitzpatrick is not a lesser player, and he does not crumble. He had been here before. At the 2023 RBC Heritage, he had beaten Jordan Spieth in a playoff on this very same hole. He knew what it felt like to have everything on the line. He knew what it took to win. But this time was different. This time, the crowd was not just cheering for his opponent. They were actively against him. They were chanting his country's rival's name. They were hoping for his failure. And Fitzpatrick heard every single word. He would later say that he loved it, that the noise spurred him on, that there is no better feeling than winning away from home against a hostile crowd. But in the moment, standing on that tee, he had to block it all out. He had to focus on the shot. Scheffler hit first. His drive found the fairway, but it was not perfect. He had 186 yards to the pin. Then it was Fitzpatrick's turn. He stood over the ball, took a deep breath, and swung. The ball soared into the air, cutting through the wind, tracking toward the flag. It was a 4-iron from 204 yards, one of the most difficult shots in golf, especially under pressure, and he hit it perfectly. The ball landed just a few yards in, front of the cup, took one bounce, and stopped 13 feet past the hole. The crowd, which had been screaming moments earlier, went quiet. They knew that Fitzpatrick had just hit the shot of the tournament. Now it was Scheffler's turn to answer. From 186 yards, he pulled out his 6-iron. But the pressure was getting to him too. He fanned his swing, sending the ball well short of the green, 37 yards from the hole. He was in trouble. He pitched his third shot to 8 feet, giving himself a chance. But it did not matter. Because Matt Fitzpatrick was standing over a 13-foot birdie putt to win the championship, the stadium held its breath. The chants had stopped. The only sound was the wind and the beating of 100,000 hearts. And then he made it. The putt dropped. The ball disappeared into the cup. And Matt Fitzpatrick had won the RBC Heritage. But here is where the story becomes legendary. He did not scream. He did not pump his fist. He did not point to the sky or fall to his knees. Instead, he did something that no one expected. He raised his finger to his ear. He cupped it. He listened. It was the most silent celebration in golf history, and it spoke louder than any words ever could. What was he saying? He was saying, "I hear you." He was saying, "All those chants, all that noise, I heard every single one." He was saying, "And I just beat your guy." The gesture was subtle. It was almost gentle, but it was devastating. The crowd that had been screaming for his defeat had nothing left to say. They had been silenced, not by force, not by anger, but by excellence, by a man who refused to let the pressure break him, by a man who turned their hostility into fuel, by a man who, without saying a single word, told the entire world that he was not afraid. The images spread instantly. Social media exploded. Golf. Fans around the world shared the clip of Fitzpatrick cupping his ear. Some called it arrogant. Others called it brilliant. But everyone agreed on one thing. It was the most powerful moment of the entire golf season. And Fitzpatrick was not finished. In his post-round interview, he was asked about the crowd, about the chants, about the gesture. And his answer was perfect. He said, "Americans are incredibly patriotic. I guess the only issue is they just have shorter memories because we won in October." The reference was to the 2025 Ryder Cup, where Europe had beaten the United States on American soil at Bethpage Black in New York. It was a reminder that no matter how loud the crowds get, the scoreboard does not lie. A reminder that England has beaten America before, and will do it again. The interviewer asked if he was bothered by the chants. Fitzpatrick smiled. He said, It didn't get out of line. I'm all for it. I love the people. They're supporting Scotty. That's great. You want golf to have an atmosphere. However, there's no better feeling than coming out on top against that. There isn't a better feeling. To understand why this moment mattered so much, you have to understand what Matt Fitzpatrick had been through in the weeks leading up to the RBC Heritage. Just 1 month earlier, at the Players' Championship in March 2026, Fitzpatrick had experienced something similar. He was in contention on the final day, battling against American Cameron Young for the title. The crowd was loud. They were chanting for Young. And when Young won, the fans booed Fitzpatrick. Social media called it disrespectful. Golf writers called it a bad look for the sport. One fan wrote, "Booing not great. Fitzpatrick is a good supporter of the PGA Tour. No need." Another said, "All credit to Young. Pure class." The same cannot be said for the idiots booing Fitzpatrick. That ain't golf. Fitzpatrick took it on the chin. He did not complain. He did not make excuses. He just went back to work. And the very next week, he won the Valspar Championship. It was his third PGA Tour victory. He was proving that he could win anywhere, against anyone, regardless of what the crowd was doing. Then came the RBC Heritage, and the same pattern repeated itself. The crowd was against him. They were chanting for his opponent. They were hoping for him to fail. But this time, Fitzpatrick did not just win. He made a statement. He cupped his ear. He reminded everyone of the Ryder Cup. And he walked off the 18th green as a champion. This was not just a victory. It was a pattern of resilience, a pattern of excellence under pressure, a pattern of a player who refuses to be intimidated by hostile crowds. Fitzpatrick had now won 2 PGA Tour events in less than a month. He had moved to number 3 in the official world golf rankings, the highest position of his career, and he had done it all while being the villain in someone else's story. He was not the American hero. He was not the fan favorite. He was the Englishman who kept winning anyway. And in a sport that prides itself on politeness and decorum, Matt Fitzpatrick had become something rare. He had become a player who was not afraid to embrace the hostility. A player who, when the crowd chanted against him, simply played better. A player who, without saying a word, told the world exactly what he thought. So what does this victory mean for Matt Fitzpatrick? And what does it mean for the future of professional golf? Let me break it down. First, for Matt Fitzpatrick personally, this win is a career-defining moment. He is now a 4-time PGA Tour winner. He has won the RBC Heritage twice, making him the first foreign-born player to win the event multiple times. He has beaten the world #1 in a playoff, on his home soil, in front of a hostile crowd. That is the kind of victory that builds legends. That is the kind of victory that changes how players are perceived. Before this tournament, Fitzpatrick was seen as a very good player who sometimes struggled under pressure. After this tournament, he is seen as a clutch performer who thrives when the stakes are highest. Second, for Scotty Scheffler, this loss stings, but it should not define him. Scheffler has now finished second to European players in back-to-back weeks. First to Rory McIlroy at the Masters, now to Matt Fitzpatrick at the RBC Heritage. He is still the #1 player in the world. He is still the most dominant force in golf. But these losses reveal something interesting. European players are not afraid of him. They are not intimidated by his reputation, and they are willing to take him on head-to-head in the biggest moments. Third, for the fans, this tournament raises uncomfortable questions about crowd behavior. The chants of USA at a non-Ryder Cup event, directed at a player who has done nothing wrong, are not a good look for American golf. Some fans have called it disrespectful. Others have called it embarrassing. And Fitzpatrick's ear-cupping gesture, while brilliant, was also a warning. It was a signal that players are noticing, that they are tired of being treated like villains simply because of their nationality, and that they will not hesitate to fire back. My final take is this. Matt Fitzpatrick did not need to say a word. His 4-iron spoke for him. His putter spoke for him. And when he raised his finger to his ear, the crowd heard the only message that mattered. He is not afraid. He will not be intimidated. And he will keep winning, no matter how loud you scream. That is not arrogance. That is confidence. That is the mark of a champion. And that is why, without saying a single word, Matt Fitzpatrick left the entire golf world stunned. This is Golfio. If you made it to the end of this video, you care about the real stories behind the game. Subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the moments that matter. And leave a comment below. Was Fitzpatrick's ear-cupping gesture justified, or was it too much? I will see you in the next video. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.